Hi, I'm here with Panos Prevedouros, and he is a professor at the University of Hawaii, Traffic Engineering Department. Or he's a traffic engineer, right? Panos, you can help me clear that up. And you're a candidate for mayor, and now you're supporting Ann Kobayashi. And tomorrow you're going to unveil your traffic plan with her. Is that correct?
Right.
But right now we're going to talk about the city, and the city just issued a press release saying that you and your website and HonoluluTraffic.com and Stop Rail Now were basically fibbing. They used the word fib, although they've accused Stop Rail Now of lying, etc., on 33 points about their plan to build a steel-on-steel rail. Maybe you can tell me your response and if you have any specifics in terms of a rebuttal.
Sure. First of all, I am responsible for 12 of those fibs. We stick to our facts. Everything we have presented is factual. My students and I did a very detailed micro-simulation analysis that really shows what the benefits and disbenefits are. I also did a very fine comb analysis of the alternatives analysis of the city, and I found a lot of weaknesses there. Now, for the city to say that, they have made an objective review of the alternatives, while at the same time, every decent engineer would know that the alternatives analysis was a joke. I mean, what can I say to that? I mean, they say they analyzed managed lanes, and what they did is that they did a very basic pipeline, two-lane pipeline to town, and then they removed the AM zipper lane for a net benefit of one express lane with the 10 miles of length. And they compared this with 20 miles of rail, and the hot lanes came to be only 5% inferior. So what does that tell you? I mean, the whole study from the beginning was manipulated. Now, the most critical part, and I do agree with Stop Rail Now, is the financing plan. Simply, we cannot afford this project. Not only doesn't fit this community, which doesn't have the tax base to pay for it, but the cost of it, even for a much larger community, is outrageous, because this is minimally a 20-mile fully elevated system that you would need a city of over 5 million people to support it. So it's totally out of place, and of course, the nation and the state are in financial crisis. A major recession is impending, so I keep jacking up, the federal contribution to us. What federal contribution? I mean, the banks are broken, so, broke.
So when you talk about cost, maybe you can explain. Sometimes we've heard 3.7 billion with a B, and sometimes we've heard more. So what are the costs exactly?
Well, it's about time now to release the EIS, the draft EIS. Either it's going to be done, we heard a rumor that it will be done this month in October, or the mayor used to say, Mufi Hahnemann, that he will release it in January. Bottom line is that we cannot pay any attention to the 2006 figures. I mean, here, one of the things that they accused me about was about maintenance costs. And they keep referring to maintenance costs for as being $60 million in 2006. First of all, these maintenance costs do not really take full account of all the costs that are associated with rail, number one. And number two, their summer 2006 energy prices there were about half of what we have now. So, the figure that I said, about 150 million to maintain this system, is a much better ballpark than what the city is using.
Okay, so what were some of the other points that you wanted to make sure that you covered in terms of their attacks on you?
Well, the city keeps taking a lot of stabs at the hot lanes proposal. For example, that the tolls will be very high and they're not going to be cheap, that you cannot fund it. Of course you cannot fund it through the FTA, we know that. You just need to apply to people that fund high occupancy expressways, and that will be the Federal Highway Administration. And from all traditions since the 1960s, they pay 80% of the cost. So if we had applied to the right agency, right now we would be in the pipeline to maybe get 80% financing. In addition, hot lanes is the only transportation investment really where you can bring private capital in. And Secretary Peters released $15 billion with a B in private activity bond guarantees. So, financiers can come and help and partner with state and county governments and create these facilities. So there are many more and far more readily available ways to finance hot lanes than it is a heavy rail system.
So both the Bush administration's been very supportive of hot lanes, and so has actually Senator Obama, right?
Absolutely. It's the nation's #1 priority regardless of party. political party to unclog the nation's clogged urban areas, because the congestion we have, and it's not, Honolulu has congestion, but it's not among the worst, is really choking the economy and choking the quality of life. So it has become #1 national priority to fix the bridges, fix the infrastructure, and reduce the congestion. Installation of rail is a nice to have kind of goal. It's not a must have. So we have to set our priorities straight.
And you're talking about federal funding and the banks being broken. Tell me a little bit about the federal funding, what they're claiming they'll get versus what you think they'll actually get.
Well, the only guaranteed part, if you get a well-rated system that has gone through all the approvals, would be $500 million. That's the typical grant that FTA makes. Only New York and Los Angeles have received $750 million for starting rail systems. In the beginning here, they started at 450, then they went to 600, then Oberstar said 900, and then in the financial plan they used 1.2 billion. It's a moving target. We really don't know what it is. Hopefully the draft EIS will have some more specific amounts which we can trust and start making some sense. But at any rate, the 0.5% tack on to the general excise tax will not be sufficient at all if this system is getting into motion and starts getting built to build it. So property taxes will increase at a minimum 40%, much more than that.
To cover that, plus if we don't get the federal funding that we need. What in terms of the federal funding can you tell me about in terms of how it comes through? How does that work exactly if it would come through?
Well, the earliest that any funding would come is 2011. What it is that the project has to complete this NEPA process, the National Environmental Protection Act. So you have to have a draft EIS, get all the comments, satisfy the comments, get the final state and federal EIS signed. Then you go into what is called the FFA, Full Funding Agreement. And then your system is posted on the website of the New Starts, and you start a negotiation with the FTA as to exactly what they will fund, when, and for what amount. None of this has been done.
Right, and have they even applied to the FTA yet for funding?
The application is in, but because we have not completed the NEPA process, we do not exist, because the project exists only on paper. Unless you have a fully signed EIS, you cannot proceed with the project. It's illegal for the federal government to fund a project that does not have a completed EIS.
So when the mayor says he's going to start construction in 2009, how do you think he can do that?
He can do that, #1, if he gets a state EIS signed, and he can start using the local taxes that we are collecting from the 0.5 tack on to the GET.
But without a guarantee for federal funding, actually in writing, do you think that's a wise decision?
This is very risky, and he should not do it before he gets a letter of no prejudice from the FTA, because the FTA may say, well, you started, you seem to be in good shape to finish it, so therefore goodbye, there are another 30 competing projects and you seem to be making progress on your own, so leave us alone because the coffers are empty anyhow. So
part of your campaign was against the rail, the steel rail, and what other ideas do you have to sum up for Hawaii in terms of good options to improve traffic?
The best solutions for Oahu as far as transit is some form of express bus service, which can be accommodated on high occupancy and toll lanes, hot lanes, and as well as some BRT segments to expedite bus movement along arterials that they are overly congested. But that would be with adding specialized bus lanes and not by taking regular traffic lanes, because this city cannot afford to lose any traffic lanes. It's lane deficient already.
Okay, well, we're almost out of time, but you also had underpasses and ferries and other ideas to improve traffic that would be considerable less cost.
Right. Actually, they are posted on the university website. I have also a blog going, fixoahu.blogspot.com, where people can go and look for my ideas. Also, HonoluluTraffic.com prints my articles, and Hawaii Reporter too.
All right, Hawaii Reporter. I've heard that's a good paper.
Yes, it is.
Okay, and also you still have your PanosForProgress.com.
Yes, it's we add videos and articles from time to time, but of course we don't have an active campaign right now. I mean, Ann Kobayashi and Mufi Hahnemann are going for the mayor's job.